Why do these all kind of sound similar? Instrumental pop music. Or maybe instrumental movie music. Or maybe instrumental modern classical music. Maybe Italian. There's something going on here that I think we should tease out. They have elements that almost rhyme to each other, even though we've got different composers, we got different genres, we got different life backgrounds, we've got different roles, right? Some of this is film music, some of this is modern classical, some of this is pop music. What in the world is going on? And just to compare and contrast, here's some Bach. Here's some Beethoven. Do you hear how much the first things I played actually kind of sort of sound the same, but all of those, Bach and Beethoven, just immediately different? Now, I'm not trying to throw out some big paper argument. I want to give you 3 practical ways that all of this modern music in the last 30 years all have elements that are similar to each other, and that's why they feel so unified. And these are diatonic dissonance, chord successions, and the melodic treatment. So let's just kind of go through them one at a time. The first I want to talk about is diatonic dissonance. What in the world does that mean? Let me break it down for you. So diatonic means within the key. So if we're in the key of A major, we have all these notes, 7 notes that are all A major. And we have 3 sharp, C sharp, F sharp, G sharp. As long as we use only those notes, then we are successfully within that key, and it's called diatonic. So when I play Yiruma, River Flows in You, that all is diatonic. But where does the dissonance part come into play? The dissonance part comes from the fact that not every note in the key is going to work with every chord. And so that rubbing that happens when you play a note that doesn't quite work is called dissonance. It makes you feel a little uncomfortable, but then it resolves and it feels great. It's almost like watching cringe content on the internet. But anyway, we have this A, that feels fine, but then we have the G sharp here. Ooh, right? It hurts, but it kind of hurts good. Same with that D right there. And what this does is it makes music so much more interesting than when you're just doing your typical, normal type of improv by yourself, right? You're just playing the chord on the end, and then you're playing some notes here, and you're like, wow, this is kind of boring. You need some diatonic dissonance. Going to level up your playing and make you sound an awful lot like these modern composers. Let's get into the second one, which is chord successions. And similar to the first thing I brought up, we need to define some terms. When I talk about chords, I'm talking about this vertical concept of harmony, right? And when I say succession, I mean that the chords are going one after another, but they're not necessarily doing anything. What is this contrasting to? That's going to really help you understand what I'm talking about. The normal way that we refer to a chord, set of chords in a row, is called a chord progression. So to give you the iconic version of this, let's look at Twist and Shout. Right there we have 1, 4, 5, or in C major, F major, G major. These 3 chords occupy the most iconic roles in music. The tonic, which is the home chord. That's the one where we feel all cozy and comfy and we're watching Netflix on the couch. Then we have the 4 chord, the F chord, the predominant. What does the predominant do? The predominant is like going to the grocery store or to the gas station. It's not the destination, but it's also not that uncomfortable or that weird. Then we go to the dominant. That is the 5 chord, the G chord in this key. And that is our destination, but it's not where we want to reside. It's kind of like going to work if you're a bit older, or going to school if you're a bit younger. And then you go back to 1, the home note, because you're tired and you want to take a nap. That is the circle of life. It's also the way that chords work in a chord progression. When we play something like Twinkle Twinkle, rising tension, but not too much, and then we go here. And now something has to happen. If I just stopped there, you'd be like, what in the world are you doing? But then we finally play. And it's like, oh, such a nice breath of fresh air. That is what we mean by chord progression. So let's go back to these modern songs and talk about how they're different. Let's go to one in C major, which is Interstellar, the Cornfield Chase. That doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Why? Because it isn't. Because we just played a 4 chord, predominant, then a 5 chord, but not really the right 5 chord. Like, it's almost more like a 3 chord because it's got an E in it. And then we go to the 6 chord, and then back to, again, this weird 5 chord. So ultimately, we really just have this 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5 forever and ever and ever. And if 4, 5, 6 sounds familiar, you probably listen to a lot of electronic music because it's very popular there for similar reasons. It doesn't really go anywhere. Contrast that to I Will Survive. Right? That tells a journey. That tells a story. We're going somewhere on that piece. And that is what chord progression versus chord succession does. And again, we're going to get into a little more of this why and philosophical discussion at the end, but that gives you the setup there. Let's go to the third one, which is melody. What in the world does melody have to do with all of these? They have similar features, which is a very, a couple more varies, simple melody, maybe 12 varies. Almost the same note happening over and over again. Or just slight scalar movement, meaning going up and down one note at a time. Why is this happening? Well, let's just talk a little bit about what this is contrasting to. Let me give you a normalish melody. So if you've watched K-pop Demon Hunters, you probably know this song. That is a more normal-ish melody, right? You could do this. Again, you still have some stepwise movement, but it's moving more all over the place. And again, telling a little more of a story. It has a little more vibrancy to it, a little more personality, if you will. Like, it's hard to pick out these melodies out of a lineup because they're so the same note over and over and over again. Well, how does this get us to where we are? We have these elements of familiarity, these things, these themes that keep going over and over again. How do they all tie together, and the why, right? Because in many ways, that's the thing I'm curious about. As someone who likes to write music, is the why. Why is this happening? And the first thing I want to sum up is just these elements of familiarity. We have diatonic dissonance, we've got chord successions instead of chord progressions, and we have very, very simple melodies. To tie it all up, I think the why is a bit of survivorship bias and a bit of what is in the zeitgeist. What do people like right now? And that is this bit of gray. We don't really want the hero's journey. We don't really want to go somewhere. We don't want to be told a big, expansive story like American Pie or The Piano Man. We want to be existing in the state of stasis. And also, we want this to be able to work on many elements of content, right? With social media right now. And so it all helps to promote this style of music that's changeless. It just sort of sits there and exists in this emotional fog. And all of this language may make you think that I don't like this music. That can't be further from the case. I actually quite enjoy playing. It's very fun to improvise over. But ultimately, I wanted to give you the tools to understand what you were going with and how to hear it and listen to it. And if you understand how to hear and listen to it, guess what? You can make it yourself. I'm Robert Monroe. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you learned. Like it, subscribe it, comment, all of that stuff really helps. And until next time, I hope you have a great day.